following is an interview with Philip J. Corso, recorded in 1996 in Florida.
You say you also had reports on bodies, on alien bodies?
Yeah, that came from Walter Reed.
Were they pretty, I mean, they definitely said not that these were genetic humans or
no,
something.
Here's what the report, the thing that I was mostly interested in the report was the two lobes in the brain. There are two lobes there.
Mm-hmm.
And this movie showed part of that. They didn't know what they had, though.
Right.
There was two lobes in the brain, interconnected. And also the lid. That's where I got the information on the extra lid, extra eyelid. And we figured that that extra eyelid was nothing more than a something like our night viewing device. You know, filtered light.
Mm-hmm. Did the actual autopsies get done at Walter Reed?
They did this particular autopsy, the paper that I had.
Physically at Walter Reed?
I don't know if it done physically there or not. I couldn't tell you.
Okay, but the report came out of Walter Reed.
The report came out of our laboratory. We financed that laboratory. There was a crash at the plane to St. Augustine.
At the same time as Roswell,
yeah.
or later? Or?
Later. No, about the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the fiber optics came from there. And there was that one that crashed there, had an opening. And there was bodies there, too.
Mm-hmm.
St. Augustine was hauled up in a hurry. Later, something mysterious happened. It disappeared. But anyway, that's another story.
You mean all the material disappeared?
The saucer itself. But anyway, that's...
Oh, I don't know. Let me add.
Yeah, that's...
I mean, did you have
one? They come and take it back, or was it traded back?
There was supposed to be a fire and explosion, but since it didn't exist, nobody could talk about it. You know, one of our greatest covers, I say, was the policy that says that UFOs didn't exist. If ever it didn't exist, there was no crash. If there was no crash, there was no material. Nobody could investigate us because there was no such thing.
Right.
And we played that up. We moved that ahead.
But
the more the debunkers screamed, the more better we liked it. They're doing the disinformation for us.
July 1947, Roswell, New Mexico. Wreckage found in the desert outside this small town is believed by many to be a UFO.
The question is, are UFOs real? The answer is yes.
For years, controversy has grown about what really happened here that summer night. Now, a decorated ex-US Army intelligence officer has made a remarkable claim. He says that not only are UFOs real, but that the US military harvested advanced technology from them. He knows this, he says, because he held the technology in his hands and saw alien bodies from the Roswell crash.
This is all the white sand area. This is the white sand headquarters here. This is Red Canyon, where my headquarters was. This is a cross that was left on the floor. An actual picture of it, of the chapel. And Red Canyon is right there, where that X is. This is Trinity Site. My debris area was over in this area. Financed that particular thing. It was our money.
But did they specifically say it was extraterrestrial?
Oh, yeah.
What year? Was this within the 47, 48 time frame?
When they did the autopsy, it was in the 50s, early 50s.
Oh, okay.
No, later 50s. Later 50s. That's another report.
You had said that that the material had sat in files for like 13 years, and then you looked at it. I mean, was nothing done with it in that time period, or?
Nothing as far as I know. There was these reports in there. See, I scrounged this material out in 1960. I started to scrounge it out.
You weren't really familiar with it before then?
Oh, no. I didn't do this at the White House. The White House, it was raw information on this particular subject. Because the White House, for example, I was in charge of the policy group on giving aid to Turkey. I had the Fall of the Freedom Corps. I don't know if you know what that means, what that is. President Eisenhower handed me that personally and said, get this going. What it was, we were going to take all the foreign groups, like the labor service groups in Germany, and put them in uniform of their own military, their own countries, and arm them, and give them their own flags and everything. In Germany. And Kennan and Bowen killed it.
I see.
But anyway, Eisenhower gave me that. They said that the president got sick. I went to Colorado someplace, and had that heart attack. And they convinced Secretary of Defense and some other people that Eisenhower didn't want it. And later, Eisenhower told Charles Kirsten, congressman, that he thought that was a great thing. They lied. And the thing, the Secretary of Defense just sat on it. Nothing ever happened.
Right.
Stalin himself gave orders to give the Roswell material. We knew that. I never gave any discuss with CIA. Only one man at CIA. Did you ever hear the name Frank Hand?
No.
He was liaison between CIA, the White House, and Department of Defense.
And
Brilliant guy.
You discussed it with him?
Yeah, he was a good friend of mine. Now, but he and I sparred. He used to sit at the White House, on some of the working groups. Because he was CIA, we sparred for about 8 or 9 months before we became friends. Because we didn't trust each other. I was military and he was CIA. He was getting paid by CIA because he was a liaison.
When we say it disappeared, is it something that we as humans made disappear, or something else made it disappear?
No, I suspect that they made it disappear. See, I have to explain this to you. Now, this is a drawn-out thing. When the crash at St. Augustine, and when I looked into that, my radars were picking up some things mysterious things out there. Well, I'll tell you about the church after. The humanoid-type body came from the Roswell area where there was a crash in 1947.
Why should we believe him? Because of the man that he was, the years of service that he dedicated to the United States of America, and the fact that he was considered one of the top military men in his field.
Who is this person? What did he do in the past? What were the things that he has said in the past that have come to fruition?
According to Lieutenant Colonel Philip Corso, he was responsible for bringing alien technology to military labs and civilian scientists. And they used it to make lasers, fiber optics, integrated circuits, night vision image goggles, and bulletproof vests.
We are looking at crashed flying saucers, or ones that are shot down, and we're trying to figure out how they work.
Others are skeptical that alien technology jump-started the military-industrial complex.
The following clips are from a never-before-seen interview with Philip J. Corso, taken in 1996 in Las Vegas, Nevada. Present in this interview with me were Robert Bigelow, Al Puthoff, Colonel John B. Alexander, and Jacques Vallée.
Well, I picked up the trajectory sometime in the morning. What happened was this. My boys called me and they said, we picked up something traveling pretty fast. We don't know the speed. We don't know how, but we've done the trajectory. And it came, the boys told me, and the tape showed this, that the thing came this direction. It came this direction and fell. The trajectory looked like this. So I called White Sands and told them, not White Lie, I told them, say I lost an ARC cat. Did you pick up any trajectory? They said yes. So they gave me a trajectory and it matched this one. Later on, I found out a Holloman that picked up something, same day. So when I picked up the trajectory, I called my pilot because I had a little airfield up there. I had 5 airplanes. And there was a 2-seater, one of those grasshoppers. It was my private. So I called the pilot, and we used to take caliche, and the boys would go pick up all the, they used to go in it and wet it and roll it, and we get like concrete, and that was our airfield. So I went out with the pilot, and we looked down, we saw something shiny, and the pilot asked me, what is it? I told him I'll make one of the boosters. but I knew it wasn't a booster because I'd seen boosters there. I used to fly around a lot out there. And White Sands knew I flew around out there. Then I figured I start bothering me. I got to go out on the ground. So my command car was no good, and I want to take a Jeep. So I called Ford Bliss to send me up a command car. Remember those big command cars? And it was perfect for the desert. Because when I got the command car, they sent it right up. It took about 3 or 4 hours to get there. So I told my boys, I'm leaving. I'll be back a couple hours. So I took off in the command car. I was driving myself. And I took my gun, a water bottle, electronic equipment, and a compass. And I took off. And this is a route that I took. Now, I don't know if exactly this far, but I passed Trinity Site. It was south of me on that. And I cut right across country in the desert. Because a big command car could do that. I couldn't do it sometimes in the Jeep. But there's big wheels on that thing. And I cut straight across. And I had the coordinates. I had a pretty good map. And when I looked to check the coordinates, I got near there. I got my binoculars out, and there was nothing there. I couldn't see anything. I figured, what the hell? And I kept checking the coordinates. I figured, this is the right place. Then this damn thing appeared. And right away, someone of mine, I'm in the desert by myself. Am I seeing things? Is this hallucination? Because I'm out here all by myself. 110 degrees was. I still remember that day because I had this moment. Oh, the damn thing appeared. Then I timed it. I had my wristwatch on. I think it was, I have it in here. It was just a few minutes and disappeared again. And right away, I started figuring, boy, I am going a bit nutty. This must be an hallucination because these things don't happen. Damn thing appeared, it disappeared and appeared again. And I figured, I'm not going off. And I stopped a piece from it, about 200 or 300 yards. And I'm not going near that damn thing. What if it appears over top of me? No one will know what the hell happened to me. So then it disappeared and appeared again. So I got enough nerve to go on. I picked up a rock and threw it in there. Picked up 2 rocks and sagebrush. And I took off again. Damn thing appeared and when this girl went back out, the rock was crushed and the sagebrush was flattened out. I think, well, the thing has body then. Maybe I'm not dreaming. Because at that stage, I still thought I was seeing things. And I'm telling you, I might have been a combat officer and had medals, but I was a little bit scared. I think, what the hell am I up against here? What is this? Being all by yourself, too. What did I have? A lousy pistol, 45. I figured that's just a pea shoot or something like that. So the next time it appeared, I got enough nerve to go and put my hand on it. It was smooth and cold. And there I started to wonder, it's 110 degrees out here. Was the sun hitting? The metal thing can't be cool. My command car, you could hardly put your hand on the steering wheel. You know, when to stay out in that sun a little bit. And this thing was cold. Then I'm sitting there wondering if I'm hallucinating, I better go back. And all at once my compass started to spin. And the instrument went crazy. So I gunned the command car in reverse. Took off in reverse. The motor died. And the thing started, it wasn't vibrated, it started to shake some. And all at once, it went up like this, turned on its side, and zoom. And by the way, there were 2 colors up here, a blue and an orange. And the way I described it like this, a balloon. Take a balloon, and where you blow up, enlarge that, and a balloon behind it, half a balloon. The thing went in sideways this way, and went in that balloon part, and it seemed like the opening. But I went in there, and I saw 2 colors, and then I was standing there like a dummy, and I was looking at the blue sky. There was nothing there. It just disappeared.
What was the approximate size and what was the shape of the craft?
I'd say it was, for observation, it was tilted a little bit on the ground. I'd say, but maybe 30 feet.
And the configuration, the shape, what would that be?
Just like a saucer, like 2 pie pans on top of each other. No dome or anything. At least I didn't see any dome or any bottle.
And when it turned on its side, it didn't tilt like this.
No, it turned on the side.
Any sound associated with it?
Was it?
Any sound?
No sound at all. Nothing. Quiet.
So the 30 feet was like a diameter?
Diameter.
How about the height?
It was just like two pipe ends. Now, at the end, when I was laying on the side, I could reach up and touch the end of the saucer when I put my hand on it.
How much of the saucer was above you when you touched it?
It was laying something like this.
Was the top of it approximately your head?
I could see the top. It was above my head, the other end of it.
Did you have the feeling at any time that you could have got inside?
No. Never entered my mind. In fact, what was in my mind? Get the hell out of here.
When it did take off, how close were you to it at that time?
Oh, my car had stalled. I'd say 200 yards, maybe.
A couple hundred yards?
Yeah, because I gunned the command car in reverse. And it was the command car, I didn't get closer about 50 feet to it, and I'd walked up. I gunned my command car in reverse, backwards. And then the engine stalled. Maybe electromagnetism might have affected the engine, I don't know. But anyway, it stalled. I thought maybe it was me hitting the gas and the gear shift wrong and stalled it. I stalled it. Maybe the thing stalled it, I don't know. And then this disappeared.
Summer 1947. Major Philip J. Corso is on patrol at the Army base at Fort Riley, Kansas, when he encounters something that will challenge everything he knows about heaven and earth. Corso was a career military man, a respected intelligence officer, and an artillery commander with his finger on the nuclear button. But inside a crate in a deserted building, Corso swore was a being from another planet. Corso would publish an account of this and other revelations in a book called The Day After Roswell, a New York Times bestseller when it came out in 1997.
In one of his book signings, 5 colonels came to him and verified that my father was right on with everything that was written in the book.
Corso died in 1998. But the material he presented in his book is still controversial. Now, for the first time, the full story of his military career and his startling UFO allegations are being told on television. 1942, the year after the Pearl Harbor attack. Philip Corso, a small-town boy from Pennsylvania, is drafted into the Army. During World War II, he trains as an intelligence officer, and afterward, at the age of only 29, Corso becomes a spy hunter in Rome. His mission, to seek out and terminate Soviet agents.
Here's the White Sands area. The White Sands Missile Range is a low-gravity area. There's supposed to be a Las Almas gap up through there in the Earth's magnetic fields. My headquarters was right here. Here's the White Sands Missile Range. This was my headquarters at Red Canyon. This is Trinity.
All right. Mm-hmm.
It was a low-gravity area. You see the block wall makes a 0 up through here. And Goddard used this. Los Alamos was not set up by accident. Von Braun knew this, and so did Obert. That's for want of a better name, it's a low-gravity area.
Mm-hmm.
And missiles can disappear in these areas. I discussed this with Wilbur Smith. Once a month, I'd send out trucks on a scavenger hunt. Dig up parts of RCAS, parts of missiles that look good to you and bring them back. And we would. This boy told me that in one particular case, when the missile had disappeared in his gate, and then there was another time there was an explosion, see, because what we do, here's the way we operate. I don't know if you know the way Nike Ajax operates on Nike. It doesn't. We don't fire these at slant range.
Right.
They fire up this way and then they dive.
Right.
The moment the big radar locked on a plane, it would transfer it to the acquisition radar. The one looked like a tub.
Right.
The acquisition radar, now one of the target track radar would be locked on the missile standing up on its launcher. The other radar would lock on the target, pencil beam. That would lock on the target. The acquisition radar would transfer it automatically in a computer to the. Then the boy would put that in a gate. And when our missile would dive in, it was supposed, when it get in the gate, that's when the explosion. The computer would, and I trained my boys, I told them now, man, the moment that missile take off, I want you to drop your hands. Because they could adjust with a little, now, drop your hands, let the computer do it. I made the first perfect missile shoot. It worked.
His mission, to seek out and terminate Soviet agents.
When the United States Army occupied Rome, what they wanted to do was make sure that the post-war government would be a friendly government, not a communist government.
A position with a lot of authority behind it. The man was regarded as an up-and-comer.
By April of 1947, Corso returns to the United States for additional training at the U.S. Army's intelligence school at Fort Riley. 3 months later, in July 1947, comes that fateful night when he claims he has the encounter that shakes him to his core. 32-year-old Corso is the post-duty officer, an assignment that puts him in charge of security at the base. That evening, Fort Riley is buzzing with rumors. 5 trucks containing debris from a mysterious aircraft accident in Roswell, New Mexico, have arrived at the base in Kansas. Corso, with his training as an intelligence officer, is intrigued by the shipment. At about 11 p.m., Corso says he enters the building where the Roswell shipment is stored. A guard on duty tells Corso that he has already looked into one of the crates making up the shipment and cannot comprehend what he's just seen. Corso then says he has a look for himself.
And he sees these, they look like coffins. They're little, they're like kid coffins. And he can't figure out what that is. So he goes and he picks up the tarp.
It looked like a thin body, and a humanoid with a sort of a big head on it, and eyes, but not too long, and not, the shape of it was not as wide, as I say, as our bodies are. But I'm not, and I made up my mind. I had orders on my desk for combat battalion, which I've wanted all my life. I'm not going to jeopardize this by trying to tell them anything. They won't believe me anyway. They tell me to shut up. That's right. So I told them, explain to me what I saw. So they both went through an explanation. The second one, the older fellow, he said, you had tremendous experience. He said, that more likely was a time machine, was malfunctioning, and they had to correct it. And then he told me that what he thought the propulsion system was because of the way my equipment acted. He said, it's a magnetic type propulsion system. He said, your instruments went wild. Yeah, just before it took off. He said they were trying to adjust their time sequence. So and the Germans, they didn't say that was good. They thought that was one of Wilbur Smith. Said, you have experienced one of the great events that happened in the world. I told him, well, I didn't think it was any great event. He said, well, you did. That's what Wilbur Smith told me. Don't try to put any human. That computer's better than you are. Mm-hmm. And it worked. But then there were some strange things that happened. He told me in one particular case, they found one of the missiles And all the holes where like the screws had been taken out. The engine looked like it had been taken apart by hand. Now, strange thing happened. I saw a report on Bokanur in Russia. UFOs came over the airdrome, and the next day they found the tower fell apart. All the rivets and everything fell out of the holes. They were all clean. Now this happened to me at Red Canyon. The parts that we picked up were clean, like somebody had taken them apart. And there were no jagged edges on it, like it had been ripped. Now,
what time frame are we talking about?
I'm talking about 57, 58.
Okay.
Corso says this was his first encounter with extraterrestrials, but it would not be his last, nor his most significant. Later, he would be given top-secret files and alien artifacts that he claims would generate a new technological world order. But in 1947, that day was still a decade away. The outbreak of the Korean War in 1950 puts a hold on Philip Corso's ruminations on extraterrestrial beings. Corso joins General Douglas MacArthur's staff as an artillery targeting specialist for UN forces. After the 1953 armistice, he remains in Asia, serving as an intelligence officer repatriating American and Allied prisoners of war.
So, and my theory is, now you remember Braswell said that there was a terrific thunderstorm, and it kept lightning and lightning and lightning. I discussed this with Wilbur Smith. It looked like this built up a pillar. And when the UFO came through, one of them must have run into it, and they found that's the one that was at the Braswell Ranch, all the parts. And the other one, I think it came through the time frame, and one was a little bit ahead of the other, and they hit.
But, I mean, do you think the program ended when you left it? Or was there some kind of continuation?
I think it ended. Remember, it took the driving force of Trudeau behind it. As I told you, when I wrote proposals or I discussed something, what he did with it, I don't know. Some of it went to industry. Who he passed it to, who he discussed it with, I don't know. You don't go ask the general, who'd you talk to? I mean, that's just like asking President Eisenhower, who did you talk to? Who'd you tell? I don't ask a lieutenant general that. When I was Inspector General of the 7th Army, Trudeau came to Germany. And Heidelberg sent for me to meet him at the airplane. He wanted to meet me. And I met him at the airplane. He was over there on some sort of inspection tour, Lieutenant General, and they threw out the red carpet. He came with his wife. And the first time he'd seen me in uniform for years, they didn't recognize me. When they recognized me, he stopped the reception line, came over. And his wife came over, and I stood there. So he said, Phil, I might be taking over R&D. You're coming with me. And I told him, naturally, I'd like to. And he said, well, I'll send for you when I go back. Later, when he wasn't chief R&D then. So I came back, and they made me air defense advisor to the Maryland National Guards, senior air defense. That was the first time that the National Guard had somebody with experience. I made him pass their NORAD and their other inspections. And I was defending the Washington area. So then a letter came from the Chief Army Personnel asking for my assignment to the Pentagon. So the Adjutant General of the State, old record, called me. Major General, he's the Adjutant General of the State of Maryland. He said, Colonel, he said, I got an order here, your assignment. See, he had to release me. Once there's a job like that, they can't just pull you. The Pentagon just can't pull you. You're subject to the whims of the State Adjutant General.
I came to know Phil Corso because he had been a special projects officer in the Far East Command for prisoners of war under MacArthur, and then later held the same role and capacity for the National Security Council as a staffer in the Eisenhower White House.
According to his military records, in July of 1953, Corso is promoted to the rank of lieutenant colonel. He says he is a trusted advisor to President Dwight D. Eisenhower, informing him of what Corso asserts is rampant KGB infiltration within the CIA.
And Corso was screaming about this in the National Security Council to Eisenhower.
Corso states that Eisenhower rewards him with his own combat command. In 1957, military records confirm Corso is placed in charge of an artillery battalion at Red Canyon Missile Range. By October of that year, Corso commands the battalion in West Germany, where he develops new targeting strategies for nuclear strikes.
He's shown he can do the one thing, he'll follow orders, but he's shown initiative.
He had sole command of a nuclear weapons battery. Now, in the event that war would have broken out with the Soviet Union in the 50s, when Corso was in Germany, he would have had sole authority to release his nuclear weapons.
For example, the chip, it went to Bell Laboratories and later to Rockwell?
Yes. Yes, I knew that.
I mean, you handed over to Bell?
No. I didn't hand anything in the industry. That wasn't my job. I did proposals that was set up in R&D to do that type of business. They would follow up the proposals and the thing. And then they would call me, I would go visit the production models. Then I would call in the industry to do.
How did was it your charred chip and your file that ended up at Bell?
Let's say my proposal, Trudeau would get it, and then it would be written in terms of R&D without my comments. And that would go to Bell Lab. That we had an actual, there was 3,000 people in R&D.
Right.
They had sections that did exactly that. That wasn't my job to do.
Right. But what I'm trying to trace back to is, did Bell Labs actually get a charred chip and wonder?
Yeah,
where...
they did. They did. Now that I knew things like that.
But how did that happen? Do you know? How it ended up in their
general would send it out as an assist, and they thought we stole it from the Russians. So we didn't say anything about it. Let them think of it.
The state adjutant general. So he said, I told him, well, this sounds like General Trudeau, my old boss. He wants me back, he's an R&D. So General Record was pretty nice. He's an old fellow, he was over 80. And he told me, he said, I won't stand in your way. Call the general and tell him I'll release you tomorrow. I walked in Trudeau's office, saluted him. He looked up, he said, you aboard, Phil? I said, yes, sir. He said, only instructions he ever gave me, he said, watch things for me, Phil, the rest I don't understand. And that was the only orders he ever gave me. Watch things for him, the rest don't understand. I ended up with 9 clearances. They're above top secret.
But after Corso returns from Germany, his career dramatically changes direction. The gifted intelligence officer, fearless spy hunter, and artillery commander who controlled the world's most powerful weapon now becomes a reservist in the National Guard. In October of 1960, Corso is virtually in retirement, a part-time unit advisor to a National Guard base in Maryland.
You could say it meant that some people were displeased with him, but it's just as easy to say he didn't have what it takes.
But Corso's supporters believe Corso is being groomed for his most important and most secret assignment.
Now there is a big green hand running his career. That big green hand is the hand of Arthur Trudeau.
Philip Corso has a powerful mentor in Lieutenant General Arthur Trudeau. A West Point graduate, class of 1924, Trudeau quickly gains a reputation as a forward-thinking officer, comfortable with high technology. In the Cold War era, he pioneers technological training for intelligence officers, and by 1958 is named Director of Army Research and Development.
When Trudeau gets a chance to appoint a deputy, he brings Corso over, and thus begins Corso's stint in Army R&D.
So what you did was to write what we call a request for proposal.
I'd write the proposal.
Okay.
The comments.
It was you wrote the proposal, or did you write the request for proposal, something that they would then respond to, but putting out enough information to steer them?
No, I would write only a proposal on all the facts with the headings on and hand it to the general.
Okay.
He would hand it to other people to put in the form to go to the industry.
Okay.
That was his. Okay. That wasn't my job.
Okay.
I wouldn't go that far. But then I would get instructions on him to follow things up, which I would go. Like I went to the lab on Night View Lane, and I'd go to Rockwell, TRW, and places like that, on his instructions now.
Now you mentioned that there was a fabric found that was, couldn't be x-rayed through?
No, not it couldn't be x-rayed through, it couldn't cut it.
Oh, couldn't cut it?
Mm.
Where did that come from?
From the UFO thing.
So that was on the bodies or something?
No, it was separate, like debris.
Mm-hmm.
Now you had mentioned also that NSA was picking up signals from space. I mean, did they?
Oh yeah, they were intelligent signals given out by an intelligent source. They couldn't identify the source or break the code though.
Mm.
Did you have discussions though, as you were doling out this material?
All the time.
You ever discussed the implications of what it was?
I went in Trudeau's office one day. There's two men there, and he said we can talk freely with these two men. Phil, they were from North American Rockwell, and this thing here, two men came in from North American Rockwell, and they were given this. Now
they know where it came from.
It came in from my files.
Yeah, but did the Rockwell people, were they told where it came from?
We let them, like Bell Labs, we let them think. They thought that the chips we stole from the Russians, we let them think that. What the hell, that was all right. Let them think it, just so they have it and do some work. They did a good job.
Was there a potential problem if you gave them potentially advanced material, told them it's Soviet, that they would say, oops, the Soviets are way ahead of us?
Then we would watch it. A lot of times it was my job to go to see how it was coming. I'd go to the companies, North American, TRW, Westinghouse, GE, who we had listed as number one crooked. We had listed contractors reliable and how crooked they were. They never knew we had this. Or the military organization. In the early 50s, was CIC answer operationally to the G2. They didn't operate on their own. When they got that G4 at Roswell, the CIC man that disappeared, he had to hand that to G2, his operational chief. G2 would pass it to the Pentagon. In 1959, Trudeau changed it all over. Took all R&D put under one head, Fort Monmouth and all those places, the universities and laboratories, and put them under one head, one chief.
General called me and said, Don, establish Foreign Technology Division, and you're the chief of it. And you got an office down next floor under me.
Through this point in his career, Corso's Army job history is easily verified by examining military records.
Look, he did work in the Pentagon. His office was there. I have the roster. And he worked for General Trudeau, and he certainly knew him well. There's no question about that.
But after his Pentagon appointment, the paper trail of his career is harder to follow, and his assertions more difficult to confirm. Corso wrote that his Pentagon job entailed analyzing foreign military hardware, such as helicopter armament developed by the French, or the British military's vertical takeoff and landing fighter. Then the technology would be reverse engineered.
The military has had, over the years, a number of projects where enemy technological devices have been recovered by American forces.
So one of Corso's jobs was to get this foreign technology, this French technology, and reverse engineer it.
And then if they had something good, fed into our own technological timeline.
Reverse engineering plays a significant role in the spycraft of the Cold War era. The Soviets used captured American Sabre jets to reverse engineer U.S. technology, and the U.S. captured Soviet MiGs to reverse engineer Soviet technology. But if Corso's routine job involves examining technology from abroad, his task would soon change. Sometime after July 20th, 1961, Corso claims that General Trudeau calls him into his office and gives him an astounding directive. Examine technology captured from the 1947 alien spaceship crash in Roswell, New Mexico.
How far back was that?
Oh, this was in the 50s. I was at the White House. I used to get the NSA intercepts. Congressmen, senators calling overseas. I would actually get those. I had access to those at the White House. They would actually send them to me. I had their clearance too, you know. They must have been afraid of our radars, because my encounter in that gold mine was, would you shut your radars down?
Yeah, tell me about that again. It was noisy last night.
Stupidly, I had answered, what's in it? What do you offer? I suppose in human terms, give me something if you want me to do something.
Right.
And I said that in subhuman, so I didn't say what do you offer. I said, what do you offer? I didn't say, what do you give me, or what do I trade?
Sure. So what was the answer?
A new world if you can take it.
You can take it.
What's he mean by that?
Yeah.
I don't know for sure. Did he mean if we can take it, is it too much for us, or can we take it back? And here's what it looked like. This was red. Now I thought this was a snake at first.
So you actually saw him in front of you.
That's the guy I saw. That's when I pulled the gun on him. It was a worthless gesture. What the hell could a 45 do? Well, I don't know. I never fired it. Although I had some scatter shot.
How far away are you?
The one?
Distance between you and this being?
About from here to the front of the motorhome.
Well, that's like 10 feet?
Yeah. The skin is scaly.
Right.
I think that the skin is atomically alive, so they can travel in space. See, man can't travel in space today.
How long were you in contact? I mean,
I'd say my two experiences didn't last more than, if you say 2 or 3 minutes, it was a lot. Now, I haven't had any other experiences. My only experience was in New Mexico, not on any other place.
Well, what after you got this, a new world, if you can take it, then what happened? Did it just disappear, or did it get in a craft and take off?
I left. I left.
You left.
I went out to my Jeep, got on my radio. I didn't tell the being that I do it. I went out to my radio and got on, and I called my command posts. And I told them, you get green time yet from, I said, yes, they said, it's due coming through any minute, so we could fire again. I told them, when it comes through, I told them, this is an order. Keep our radars down for 10 minutes. And I told them, I repeat the order to the captain. I told him, keep our radar down for 10 minutes. I'm on my way. Then I get a call back on radio when I was on my way. It said, C battery picked up a trajectory going 3,000 miles an hour.
This must have been
I told him, let me see the tape. Now, if you go back to the days of the Sumerians, they call them Aegis. They say they were ferry drivers, is what they are. Nobody's ever explored the Sumerian civilization. I think the key is there. They disappeared after a while. I think the Sumerians maybe were the mothership. And they tried to wipe out the human race, in those days. But anyway, you got to go back in history and see the Sumerians, what they say. And they called them Aegis, I-G-I-G-I-S.
You think they were manufactured for space travel or time travel or something?
Well, I think they were manufactured as servants. Now, my theory is, what do they want? Here, do they want a new race? Because one of the strangest things, as far as I'm concerned, is on these mutilations, they took the sex organs. And the nearest thing to the human sex organ are cattle sex organs. And by the way, they cut those with a type of laser cutter, which didn't even cut through the cells.
Cut around them, yeah.
It cut around the cells. That's how perfect it was. We have no such thing. A handheld cutter, a laser, we have no such thing.
You know, you had these records from Walter Reed on the autopsies, and you talked about the fact they had this scaly skin that was put together in a certain fashion, so on. Did they ever come to a conclusion like these were manufactured biological robots, or?
The only conclusion was, I think we all came to this together because of the sex organs and the different organs in the lymph systems, lungs and stomach. But it was a clone.
Trudeau has a filing cabinet delivered to Corso's Pentagon office. Inside, Corso says, is proof positive of aliens visiting Earth and alien technology that Corso insists he will use to change the world. In 1947, Philip Corso claimed to have seen alien bodies from the infamous UFO crash near Roswell, New Mexico. Corso's description is consistent with those who claim to be eyewitnesses to the crash. The aliens, according to these witnesses, were 4 small human-like beings with 4-fingered hands, thin legs and feet, an oversized head, and large almond-shaped eyes. These descriptions purportedly appear in these classified documents prepared by government investigators. To this day, the documents have not been authenticated. Corso insists that he told no one about what he saw at Fort Riley. But in the summer of 1961, the 46-year-old lieutenant colonel is assigned to a Pentagon project that will force him to recall his eerie experiences.
He was assigned to the Army's research development at the Pentagon. Once again, a position with a lot of authority.
His goal? To advance U.S. military superiority by a factor of decades.
We had enough sense to push it. We had the organization, and we had the money, and we had the brains to do it, and we did it. And all this stuff was here that when he created for me the Foreign Technology Division, he created that to give us a focal point where all foreign developments would come into. They'd all come into me. I not only mean space, but I'm talking about the depleted uranium, helicopter arming, anti-aircraft stuff from South Africa, the tow from France. Those all would come into me. And also, anything like the flying saucer stuff would come into me.
Other than that first batch, was there more?
No. I never got anything more in the first batch.
Were there reports in the files from when they had originally been looked at?
Somebody had done something with them, because there's reports in there.
Do you remember which labs had written the reports?
Well, the labs weren't ours then, in those days. And I remember what Paula Reed told me and Lincoln Lab told me. He said, do you remember your instructions were always not to keep any copies, to send everything back? And they had to, that's why they couldn't find anything at Lincoln. They said, your orders were to give everything back. And those were our instructions.
During the Cold War era, Corso says, there was great government concern that the Russians would gain access to the alien materials. Or worse, the aliens would use their superior technology to invade Earth. According to Corso, an ordinary filing cabinet contains the extraordinary artifacts of the Roswell crash. A piece of super strong metallic cloth. Corso contends it may have protected the alien pilots in their spacecraft. A tube that appears to shoot a searing red light. Corso thinks it might be a surgical instrument or a weapon. An alien-made headband that, according to his military reports, might have been used to transmit thoughts or control the alien craft. An imprinted set of miniaturized circuits, perhaps a prefabricated microcircuit. A flexible wire that might have transmitted light through its interior. And a lens that could allow anyone to see in the dark, supposedly taken from the eye of an alien being. To better understand the puzzling contents of the filing cabinet, Corso claims to immerse himself in classified government documents reporting on alien technology supposedly found at Roswell. According to the reports that Corso claims to have read, some of the world's foremost scientists, men like Wernher von Braun and J. Robert Oppenheimer, have access to the Roswell crash site. Corso says that Lieutenant General Trudeau greenlights him to assemble his own A-list team.
You will put on that team anybody that you want. Engineers, scientists, and even I told the Germans. Told them, I'll take a couple of Germans too, in addition to the U.S. scientists.
Did you ever have a guess about where they were from?
Well, we tried to, but we never came up with any definite where they were from.
Corso claims that based upon his close readings of the Roswell reports, he developed his own theories about how the alien craft may have functioned.
What Corso said was that the spacecraft had a way to jump. It didn't fly from wherever it came from to here. It jumped. And he said that's all they knew.
Did you ever feel like you had to brief somebody else in the political center of potential danger, or did you just carefully try to prepare?
No, I would never brief. Oh, I did talk about this very thoroughly with John McCormick, because we were pretty close friends. After Kennedy died, and he was number 2.
I don't think Jacques has heard the story about the Russian base, what happened to that Russian base, and I'm curious about how the information came to you.
CIA and the intercepts. You know, we had a system that was watching, could localize all atomic detonations. And that was part of it. And the other was a CIA report. Somewhere in my papers, I have a copy of the CIA report. And that happens. And there was 200 scientists killed. So they were lying to you. There were 2 ways. I say CIA got the report, and the atomic monitoring that we had worldwide.
And did the report contain an explanation about what caused the explosion?
No one knew.
That there was a wave around the spacecraft that allowed it somehow not to be a spacecraft, but a time machine. And the reason is that to travel the kinds of vast distances it had to travel, it had to leave what we understand in physics as a space-time continuum, drop out of that, and suddenly reappear in a new spot.
In Corso's personal notes are sketches detailing his concepts. Corso speculates that the alien craft is navigated by a mind control interface fitting the alien cranium.
It seemed as though by revolving the headband around the alien brain drawings, you would match up the pickups on the headband with various parts of the alien brain.
His background research complete, Corso maintains he is ready to move on to the next phase, distribution. He will hand off the alien technology he says comes from Roswell to appropriate defense contractors for development.
So in the files that you had, there was a report on an autopsy?
Yeah. See, the Walter Reed Laboratory was ours. We financed it. It belonged to R&D. It was our laboratory. It wasn't belonged to Walter Reed. We financed the thing.
Yeah, still does.
Is it still there?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's still there.
In the early 1960s, America's military might is directed toward fighting the Cold War. Lieutenant Colonel Philip Corso wants to bring alien technology from Roswell into the fray.
Oh, I had one photo, but it was pretty messed up. You couldn't tell much from it.
Of an alien body?
It was pretty messed up.
Did they preserve any samples? They must have preserved tissue samples.
I really don't know.
Genetic material.
I don't think, maybe the Air Force did. I don't think the Army ever did. I never saw a report on any preservation of anything like that. Maybe they did, but I never saw any.
Now, the Army laboratories also had civilian scientists there, and they developed this relationship of handling classified material. Phil Corso felt very comfortable working through the Army laboratories to the civilian scientists because the clearances were all taken care of by the laboratory.
But in 1961, Fort Belvoir in Virginia is quietly working on a decade-long project to develop night vision engineering. Corso claims he makes this lab the first he approaches with alien technology.
Okay, well, what was reported in the autopsies?
Well, the thing that interested me was the lymph gland part and digestive system, which didn't exist. And the brain lobe was his number one interest in this movie, by the way. When they open up the brain, they show the lobe if you look close enough. 6 organs were almost non-existent. So these are the things that really interested me. They only had 4 fingers on them. And now that was unusual. I don't know. No thumb. I don't know how they used it then.
An imprinted circuit of mysterious design.
We also had a little charred chip. Small thing, maybe 3/8 of an inch square, 2 threads coming out, and a little one in the center with thin wires. These came from Roswell. We didn't know exactly the function of the integrated circuits, but we suspected that these were circuits, electrical circuits.
Corso brings the object to Bell Labs, which had developed the transistor 14 years earlier. Scientists there were able to analyze and later recreate the alien microchip.
But they disappeared. Naturally, nothing could be said because these things didn't exist as far as the government was concerned.
Right.
There was no talk about what happened. Couldn't say the UFO was gone or bonds were gone because national policy was that they didn't exist. How can you talk? How can something be burned up in an explosion and fire when it didn't exist? Same way we played the game. We played the same game. Our R&D, we played a game. Nobody can investigate because we can investigate something that doesn't exist.
He knows from reports that when people were shining this thing around, it caused burning on the surfaces that it was aimed at.
Corso reads classified military reports speculating that the artifact from Roswell, apparently capable of burning holes in walls, is some kind of cutting tool, perhaps used for surgery.
But I even told you, I think, that I was not interested in seeing UFOs. I was all interested in what was in those UFOs.
Anyone familiar with UFO lore will recognize at least some of what Phil Corso says. Reports of crashed saucers, recovered alien bodies, a government cover-up. But in 50 years of UFO controversy, no one of his rank or stature has ever publicly proclaimed this level of inside knowledge. Corso was an intelligence officer inside the Eisenhower White House, assigned to the National Security Council. He also served as Inspector General of the 7th Army and commanded the 1st Nuclear Battalion in Germany. His credentials are impeccable, his record spotless. But did he really handle wreckage from a flying saucer?
They came from a flying saucer.
How do you know that?
Because they were marked in the files as coming from New Mexico.
Roswell.
Yes, Roswell.
Roswell, of course, is the most famous alleged UFO crash site in history, a story which the Air Force has tried to bury once and for all. Corso says that Army Research and Development not only had pieces of wreckage in its possession, but also reports and photos from an autopsy of an alien cadaver.
I had the reports. See, the Walter Reed, the laboratory Walter Reed, was our laboratory. We financed it. He was part of the guidance system, or it, whatever it is, because it has no sex organ or thing. It was part of the guide system. That's why we failed in propulsion.
Corso says the Army kept the material and bodies secret because of potential enemies within the U.S. government, interests which might take over the program and destroy the reputations of those involved. He thinks the secrets are still being kept, but doesn't know by whom. Twice in the past few years, Corso has testified before Congress concerning secret activities within the Eisenhower White House. He's been thoroughly checked out and his information confirmed. But his most sensational allegation is one which American industry isn't going to like at all. Corso says the Army spoon-fed recovered alien technology to American industry, resulting in some of our greatest technological advances.
The number one was the integrated circuit. Number two in importance was laser, because I had some laser instruments also. Then fiber optics.
Such sensational claims have invited harsh criticism, but Corso doesn't mind. He names others who knew what he knows, and it's an exclusive club, he says.
General Marshall, General Trudeau, General MacArthur, von Braun, Olbert, Wilbur Smith from I thought, I'm in good company. That's the company I'd rather be in, with those coops.
His impact on UFO legend and lore can never be minimized.
The military, the Pentagon, the government of the United States does not give that type of authority to a loose cannon. This man was highly regarded, highly respected.
At my age, what do I have to lose? I have to let my grandchildren and my children know this, because how long will I be around yet? And when I go, it goes with me.
There must have been many days that Philip Corso said to himself, why me? Why do I have this information? And again, I think that's one of the things that probably plagued him for so many years. It's pretty difficult to keep a secret like that within yourself.
Even today, only 10% of the story is told, my father says. The rest is classified.
There was a cover-up. I traced one. I had all the clearances. I was in the spook business.